I haven't slept properly in weeks. Maybe months. It's hard to keep track. The bags under my eyes are permanent fixtures now, and I think my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, is starting to look at me with a mixture of pity and fear. It started subtly. Just a tickling sensation on my feet as I drifted off to sleep. I'd shrug it off, rearrange the blanket, and try again. A stray thread, I figured. Or maybe just my imagination. Then it escalated. The tickling became more insistent, almost playful. It would travel up my legs, stopping just short of places it shouldn't go. I'd twitch and jerk, waking myself up in a cold sweat. I started sleeping with socks on, which only seemed to make it worse. The tickling would become frantic, as if whatever was doing it was trying to burrow its way through the cotton. I tried everything. New mattress, new sheets. I even had an exterminator come and spray the whole house, convinced it was some bizarre infestation of super-sensitive insects. He found nothing. The worst part is the giggling. It's faint, almost imperceptible. A high-pitched, childlike giggle that seems to emanate from beneath the bed. It's only there when the tickling is at its peak, a taunting sound that drives me to the edge of madness. I started leaving the lights on. That didn't work. It seemed to embolden it, the tickling becoming more aggressive, the giggling louder. I tried sleeping on the couch, but the giggling followed me. It echoed in the empty space under the coffee table, a constant, mocking reminder of my predicament. Desperate, I started researching sleep disorders. Hypnic jerks, restless leg syndrome, sleep paralysis. I devoured articles and medical papers, trying to find some explanation, some label to slap on this bizarre affliction. Nothing fit. Then, one night, fueled by caffeine and desperation, I decided to confront it. I armed myself with a baseball bat, crawled on my hands and knees, and peered under the bed. Nothing. Just dust bunnies and stray socks. I felt like an idiot. But the giggling persisted. It was closer now, almost right next to my ear. I spun around, swinging the bat wildly, but there was nothing there. That's when I saw it. A shadow. Not a normal shadow, but something distorted. It shimmered and writhed, like heat rising off asphalt on a summer day. It was barely visible in the dim light, but I could make out a vaguely humanoid shape. And then, it spoke. "You're so ticklish." The voice was childlike, but laced with an unnerving glee. I scrambled back, scrambling for the light switch. When I turned back, the shadow was gone. The giggling faded into silence. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, bathed in the cold light of the television, clutching the baseball bat like a lifeline. The next day, I started looking into other things. Paranormal phenomena, entities, folklore. I stumbled across ancient texts, forgotten websites, and obscure forums. I learned about shadow people, entities that feed on fear and negative energy. I read about rituals and banishments, ancient practices designed to ward off unseen forces. Most of it seemed like nonsense, the ramblings of lunatics and conspiracy theorists. But there was something compelling about it. A sense of underlying truth that resonated with my own experiences. I found one particular ritual that caught my attention. It involved salt, iron, and a specific incantation, said to create a barrier against unwanted entities. It sounded ridiculous, but I was desperate. That night, I carefully prepared the ritual. I sprinkled salt around the perimeter of my bedroom, tracing the outline with a rusty iron nail. I stood in the center of the room, took a deep breath, and began to recite the incantation. The words were ancient and unfamiliar, and they felt strange on my tongue. As I spoke, the air in the room grew heavy, charged with a palpable energy. The temperature dropped, and I could feel goosebumps rising on my arms. When I finished, I waited. The silence was deafening. For a moment, I thought it had worked. Relief washed over me, a wave of hope that threatened to drown me. Then, the giggling started. It was louder than ever before, echoing through the room, bouncing off the walls. The shadow reappeared, more defined this time, its form more solid. I could see its eyes now, 2 points of malevolent glee that stared directly into my soul. "That was cute," it said, its voice dripping with amusement. "But it won't work on me." It lunged. I screamed and swung the baseball bat, connecting with something solid. The shadow recoiled, hissing in pain. I swung again and again, driven by a primal fear, until the bat shattered against the bed frame. The shadow was weakened, but still there. It hovered just out of reach, its eyes burning into mine. You can't hurt me, it whispered. I'm a part of you now. And then, it did something I never expected. It started to cry. Not a sob, but a high-pitched, mournful wail that filled the room with an unbearable sadness. It was a sound of pure, unadulterated grief. I stopped swinging the bat, my anger and fear slowly receding, replaced by a strange sense of empathy. What's wrong? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The shadow looked up at me, its eyes filled with tears. I just want to play, it sobbed. I just want someone to laugh with. I stared at it, dumbfounded. This thing asterisk, this malevolent entity that had been tormenting me for weeks, just wanted to play? Slowly, hesitantly, I lowered the broken bat. Okay, I said. Okay, I'll play with you. The shadow's face lit up, its tears drying instantly. Really? It asked, its voice filled with childlike excitement. Really, I said. And so, we played. I know it sounds insane. I spent the next few hours playing hide and seek with a shadow under my bed. We told each other jokes, even though I was the only one actually speaking. I made shadow puppets on the wall, and it giggled with delight. It turned out that it wasn't malevolent at all. It was just lonely. It was an entity that had been trapped under my bed for who knows how long, feeding off my energy, desperate for attention. As the sun began to rise, the shadow started to fade. I have to go now, it said, its voice tinged with sadness. Will you be back? I asked. It smiled. Maybe, if you're feeling ticklish. And then, it was gone. The giggling stopped. The shadow vanished. The room was quiet. I haven't slept under my bed since that night. I've moved into a different room in my house. I still get a tickling sensation on my feet sometimes, but it's different now. It's not malicious. It's almost friendly. And sometimes, just sometimes, I hear a faint giggle in the distance. I haven't told anyone about this. They'd think I was crazy. But I know what I experienced. I know that there's something else out there, something beyond our understanding. And sometimes, all it wants is to play.